The day Maya Carter stepped into the desert mansion, she did not feel lucky. She felt tired. Bone-deep, soul-worn tired, the kind that settles into your spine after years of choosing between groceries and medicine. The heat pressed down on her as if the sky itself wanted to remind her she did not belong in places like this. $3,000 had bought her a key that felt heavier than it should have, as though it carried the weight of consequences she did not yet understand. Behind her, her daughter Riley clutched her inhaler with the quiet discipline of a child who had learned too early that breathing was not guaranteed. The mansion rose before them, all glass and stone, abandoned yet defiant, like a secret the desert had refused to bury. Maya told herself this was temporary shelter, nothing more. A roof, four walls, safety. But the silence inside the house was not empty, it listened. As their footsteps echoed through rooms larger than their entire old apartment, Maya felt the uneasy sensation that lives had unraveled here before hers ever arrived. She tried to ignore it. Desperation does not allow room for superstition. It demands action. She unpacked sleeping bags instead of dreams, promises instead of furniture. That night, lying beside her daughter on the cold stone floor, Maya whispered assurances she hoped were true. This house would save them. This gamble would be worth it. She did not yet know that survival sometimes opens doors you were never meant to touch, and that once opened, those doors never truly close. Morning light revealed the mansion's true nature, not grand, but watchful. Dust coated every surface like a memory no one bothered to erase, and the air carried a stillness that made ordinary sounds feel intrusive. Maya explored cautiously, cataloging what could be fixed and what would have to wait. She measured hope in practical terms. Running water, electricity, walls solid enough to hold back the world. Riley wandered ahead, curious and brave in the way only children can be, pointing out bedrooms she might claim one day. It was in the master suite that Maya noticed the door. Steel, windowless, wrong. It sat behind the bedroom wall like a secret stitched into the house's spine. A keypad glinted faintly, too modern for a place abandoned so long. Maya tried the handle. Locked. Her instincts told her to walk away, but desperation argued louder. People who have nothing left rarely turn away from questions, especially when those questions feel like answers waiting to happen. She forced herself to step back, to focus on making the house livable. Yet the door lingered in her thoughts, humming like a warning she pretended not to hear. That night, as wind moved through broken seals and the house settled with unfamiliar creaks, Maya lay awake replaying every hardship that had led her here. Eviction notices, hospital bills, Riley's shallow breaths in the dark. She stared at the ceiling and wondered how a place so empty could feel so full of consequence. The steel door remained closed, but it had already claimed space in her mind. The answers arrived by accident, as most life-changing truths do. While cleaning an outdoor shed, Maya found papers left behind by someone who had planned carefully and trusted no one. Blueprints, receipts, notes written in a precise, nervous hand. They told the story the house itself refused to share. The steel door was a vault, purpose-built, reinforced, hidden, not for safety, but for concealment. Maya's hands shook as she read. She should have stopped. Any reasonable person would have. But reason had abandoned her long before hunger and fear took its place. That night, after Riley slept, Maya returned to the master suite armed with nothing but resolve and borrowed courage. The code revealed itself not through intelligence, but through persistence. Through a trail of human arrogance left behind by a man who believed his secrets would outlive him. When the door finally opened, the sound was soft, almost respectful. Inside, the vault glimmered with wealth so immense it distorted reality. Art, jewelry, cash stacked like bricks. The kind of money people whisper about and die for. Maya staggered back, breathless, her heart racing not with joy but terror. This was not salvation. It was evidence of a life built on theft, deception, and blood. She closed the door with trembling hands, knowing that nothing in her life would ever be simple again. She had crossed an invisible line. Whatever had protected this secret for years was now aware of her. The footsteps began soon after. Slow. Intentional. Not the restless sounds of an old house settling, but the deliberate movement of someone who knew exactly where they were. Maya learned the difference quickly. Fear sharpens perception. She learned to count seconds between sounds, to listen for weight distribution, to recognize when silence meant danger instead of safety. Whoever came did not steal. They watched. That was worse. Maya's thoughts spiraled as she pieced together the truth. The vault was known. The collection was wanted. And now, so were they. She sought advice, hoping legality might offer protection where morality could not. It did not. Laws spoke in years, threats spoke in minutes. The message delivered to her was simple and merciless. Stay quiet, stay alive. Speak, and her daughter would pay the price. Maya had survived poverty, exhaustion, humiliation. She had never faced evil that spoke so calmly about murder. In the days that followed, she stopped imagining futures and focused on minutes. Riley sensed the shift, the way children always do, and asked fewer questions, clinging closer. Maya memorized her daughter's face the way people do when they know memory may be all that remains. Every option seemed to end in loss. Silence meant complicity, speaking meant risk, and doing nothing meant waiting for someone else to decide their fate. The decision, when it came, felt less like courage and more like surrender to truth. Maya realized that the people threatening her would never let her go. Loose ends were liabilities. Compliance only delayed the inevitable. She chose the one path that gave her a voice instead of a grave. With shaking hands and steadier resolve than she thought possible, she told everything about the vault, the threats, the man who believed fear was ownership. Protection came swiftly and without ceremony. There were no dramatic speeches, only clipped instructions and urgency sharpened by experience. When authorities moved on the house, the response was immediate and violent. Flames tore through the mansion as if the desert itself wanted the secret erased. Maya watched from a moving vehicle, Riley pressed against her chest, as fire consumed the place that had briefly promised them safety. She did not cry. The house was never home, it was a test. Evidence was saved, names were recorded, networks exposed. The fortune burned, but the truth survived, and that mattered more than money ever could. As dawn broke somewhere unfamiliar, Maya understood that survival sometimes requires letting go of the miracle you thought you needed, in order to protect the one you already have. Life in hiding was quieter, smaller, stripped of illusion. There were no mansions, no secrets behind walls, only routines designed to keep them alive. Riley returned to school under a different name, her laughter slowly returning as her health improved. Maya learned what safety actually meant. Not wealth, not walls, but predictability. Days passed without footsteps in the night. Nights passed without fear tightening her chest. The cost was anonymity and the weight of knowing she could never explain the truth. Some called her brave. Others called her foolish. Maya stopped listening. Public opinion had never paid a medical bill or sat awake counting breaths. She focused instead on the ordinary victories, Riley running without coughing, sleeping without machines, dreaming without fear. The world moved on, as it always does, but Maya carried the memory of that vault like a scar. She understood now that wealth gained through suffering demands repayment, one way or another. She had chosen to pay with loss instead of blood. It was not the heroic ending people like to imagine. It was quieter, harder, and honest. Years later, the story lived only in fragments, court records sealed, headlines forgotten, ashes scattered across the desert. Maya rebuilt her life with the discipline of someone who knows how easily it can all be taken away. She worked, saved, planned, not for excess but for stability. Riley grew stronger, older, wiser in ways Maya wished she did not have to be. Sometimes her daughter asked why they moved so often, why Maya flinched at unfamiliar sounds. Maya answered with half-truths wrapped in love. The full truth could wait, or maybe it never needed telling. Some stories are not meant to be inherited. They are meant to end. On quiet evenings, Maya reflected on the mansion, the vault, the fortune that could have rewritten everything. She did not regret her choice. Regret belongs to people who still believe there was another ending. She knew better. She had seen what greed leaves behind when it finishes consuming a life. Survival had taught her a simpler measure of success, waking up without fear and knowing the person you love will do the same. In the end, Maya understood that the house was never about money. It was about temptation, the seductive lie that one discovery can erase a lifetime of struggle. The vault promised escape, but demanded silence, fear, and blood in return. She chose differently. She chose to protect her child.